when are we going to get an actual policy from you instead of just like platitudes and nice stories?
On Monday, the Beto 2020 campaign announced that they had raised $6.1 million in the first 24 hours of fundraising, which is a record. But they didn't release any other details. So they didn't release how many people made up that number, how many individual donors he had. They didn't release the average contribution limit, and they didn't release how many people had maxed out the contribution limit. All of these data points would indicate if Beto O'Rourke has real grassroots support or if all of this money is just from bundling from wealthy donors. Well, now we sort of have the answer, and I'll get to that in a minute. But first, before that answer came out, this question came from a college student asking him about these fundraising details. And before I even show the question, let me read her tweet here. So this is from the person that actually asked Beto O'Rourke this question that I'm about to show you. This is from Leslie. Hey, it's Leslie J on Twitter, saying, so Beto came to my school today, and I took the opportunity to ask him about his $6.1 million fundraising bundling and to release his number of donors, average donation, and if we'll ever get a specific policy platform from him with detailed proposals, etc. So I'm going to show you the clip here. So this is a combination of two different clips. The first part is from Leslie shooting it herself because the ABC clip didn't include this part. And then I'm going to transfer over to the rest of the question, which is from the ABC angle. So let me play this. This is fantastic.
You broke all records, which I guess is pretty good, but my concern is how much of that is coming from a process which is called bundling. For those of you who don't know, bundling is a process in which political activists and people in the private sector and lobbyists go to wealthy multimillionaires and billionaires and basically tell them to give the maximum, which is normally anywhere from $2,700 to $5,600, and basically use it to sort of overinflate a campaigner's, their first day totals. For example, just 1,000 people giving the maximum $5,600, that's $5.6 million right off the bat. Your campaign has not released the number of individual donors you have, nor has it released the average donation. Now, I'm not accusing you of that, but the fact that your campaign is currently working with notorious mega bundler Louis Sussman gives me a bit of a clue. In addition, when we look on your website, we don't really see anything in terms of a solid platform for policies. It's mostly just platitudes and a merch store. So I guess two-pronged question. One, are you going to...
Please allow her to ask the question.
Yeah. So two-pronged question, I guess. One, are you going to release the number of individual donors and their average donor donation? Because I know your campaign has that data. If it didn't, it would mean you'd be running a very incompetent campaign, and I don't think you are. You seem like you have your stuff together mostly. And two, when are we going to get an actual policy from you instead of just like platitudes and nice stories?
Thank you. So the answer to your... Thanks, everybody. So the answer to your first question is yes. In addition to how much we raised, the fact that we raised it from all 50 states, the fact that we took not a dime from a single PAC or lobbyist, we will release the average and the number of donors. To your second question about policy. I'm going to try to be as specific as I can. I mentioned our criminal justice system. I've called for the end of the prohibition on marijuana and the expungement of the arrest records of everyone who's been arrested for marijuana. I've been doing that for a long time. On the question of health care, we've talked about universal guaranteed high-quality health care. You asked the path to get there. Two extraordinary women with whom I've served in Congress, Jan Schakowsky of Illinois, Rosa DeLauro of Connecticut, have introduced a proposal called Medicare for America that ensures that if you have employer-based insurance and you like it, you keep it. Your doctors, your network, what works for you right now. If you don't have insurance or you don't like the insurance you already have, you enroll in Medicare. Costs a lot of money. It will be measured in the trillions of dollars. It is not inexpensive. But as I made the point and I hooked the case earlier, it's a lot less expensive than taking care of people at end of life who've never been treated in the first place. When it comes to public school education, paying teachers a living wage and starting starting public education not in kindergarten at 5 years old, but in pre-K at 4 years old, universally for every single child in this country. I was asked about the Green New Deal. I answered the question about the Green New Deal. When I talk about rural America, I talk about an opioid crisis which is disproportionately felt in rural America. I talk about those whom we must hold accountable for the crisis and the way in which we must treat those who are enduring the crisis, not through incarceration, but through compassion and treatment and care so that they can get back up on their feet. So in every single policy area, I'm trying to describe not just the goal and the aspiration, but the path that we will take to get there. I understand if we disagree or come to different conclusions. That's the genius of our democracy. I appreciate you being here and asking the questions. Thank you. Gracias.
All right. There's so much credit here to go around, or not really to go around, but just to go to Leslie. So this college student, Leslie, from Penn State University. This question was fantastic because it's not only that she asked the question, it's that she described what she was talking about for other students in the room who might not understand it. So she described what bundling is. She talked about Louis Sussman, one of the big bundlers that are on Beto's campaign. She talked about how Beto's website just has a merch store and no platform, and how he has not been very specific on his policy proposals. So this is a better question than the vast majority, than from what I've seen from the vast majority of the media. Now, to some of his answers here, just on policy before I get to the details on his fundraising. So he doesn't, I mean, the policies he's taken up, or at least the ones that he's willing to be a little more detailed on, marijuana policy. Is there anybody in the race that doesn't support legalizing marijuana and dealing with criminal justice in that sense of marijuana? I think they all do. Maybe Amy Klobuchar doesn't. Maybe John Delaney doesn't. But I think the rest of them do. On healthcare, Beto O'Rourke, I discussed this in previous videos. He no longer supports Medicare for all or single-payer healthcare. He used to talk about how he supports single-payer healthcare. Now he doesn't. What's going on there? On public education policy like universal pre-K. Again, Bernie Sanders supports this. Elizabeth Warren supports this. Many other candidates support putting more funding into public education. This also isn't anything special. So again, I don't know why Beto O'Rourke is running. I mean, it appears the only reason he is running is because he has big donors behind him that want him to run. That's what it seems like to me. Now, on top of that, let's get to the fundraising. So now we have actual details, and it's not exactly what it seems. So check out this from the Texas Tribune. Beto O'Rourke's campaign received 128,000 unique contributions. Unique contributions in the first 24 hours. Bernie Sanders had 225,000 donors. After a campaign stop here, O'Rourke told reporters that he received more than 128,000 unique contributions in the first 24 hours with an average donation size of $47. O'Rourke's campaign later corrected the average donation size, saying it was actually $48. By comparison, Sanders' campaign said its first day haul came from over 225,000 individual donors for an average contribution size of $27. While O'Rourke didn't elaborate on what he meant by unique contributions, the measure is generally regarded as different from the number of individual donors. And that's the problem. Beto O'Rourke is using the term individual donations, meaning the same person, like say the same wealthy donor, can contribute, let's say, $47 or $27 multiple times to help make up that number until they reach the individual limit, adding to the individual donation number. So this is not 128,000 individual donors. It's 128,000 unique contributions. Whereas Bernie and other campaigns like Kamala Harris use the other metric, saying, no, these are individual donors. These are different people giving to our campaign. So Kamala Harris in the first 24 hours, I believe, had 38,000 individual donors. Bernie Sanders had 225,000 individual donors. But Beto O'Rourke is not willing to use that individual donors figure. He's simply using unique contributions. So we don't have any idea of how many individual donors actually gave to him in the first 24 hours, because the number is likely a lot less than 128,000. So again, it's been less than a week, and Beto O'Rourke is already launching his campaign on a fundamentally dishonest message. Now, let me go to a tweet here or a story here that I saw on Twitter that really shows us what Beto O'Rourke could be doing instead of wasting his time in this race. So this from Mark Caputo. The return of Andrew Gillum. He's launching a mammoth voter registration campaign in Florida after losing the race for governor by less than half a point. So here you have Andrew Gillum, who also lost a race in another state. He could have run for president, but he realized this field is way too large already. Why would he lend his voice here if he could be doing something else? So he understood that, hey, instead of, running, even though he would likely lose, actually, you know what? It's possible he could win. Andrew Gillum's a strong candidate. But instead of running in the race, he decided, you know what? My time is better spent getting people out to go and vote. Beto O'Rourke, why is he running? He lost to Ted Cruz. Now, the reason he was able to raise so much money in his Senate race is because everybody fucking hates Ted Cruz. That's also why I didn't really lay a finger on Beto O'Rourke during the Senate campaign. Because when you're up against the devil, why am I going to be concerned about what Beto O'Rourke's details are when Ted Cruz is clearly worse? But now that Beto is running in a field that is already incredibly diverse, already has candidates that are clear frontrunners, why is he in this race? So this is why we need to be super critical here, because Beto O'Rourke appears to be running for president because big donors want him to run. As I showed you, he is already being fundamentally dishonest about how he is raising his money. It's been less than a week. So, I mean, honestly, I don't even know why I'm getting mad because I don't think Beto O'Rourke has a chance. So go on, run, waste your time. But this time could have been better spent anywhere. He could have spent this time doing what Andrew Gillum is doing and trying to get people out to vote. He could have ran in the Senate race in Texas. He could have done that instead and likely won that race. But no, he's running for president on a vague policy message, on a fundamentally dishonest message for his fundraising, and expects people to buy his bullshit. And I don't think most people will.